Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, 3MR Production, its ownership, management, or staff.
We got the power. The power. The power. The power.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I'm Brother Kahari, sitting in every week at this time with Mr. Fuller. This is The Compensatory Concept. And also joining us this morning is our special personality here at Talktainment Radio and on Kahari Free at Last, our television show, and on our other Saturday show. I mean, good God, she's all over the place. Sister Earth Jallow. How you doing, sister?
Hey, good morning, world. How everybody doing out there?
All right. We are just in a world of craziness right now on the planet. It just seems like we just found out that food stamps are going to be cut come, November the 1st?
Yeah, it's crazy.
One of the banks, Chase Bank, has already said that it's going to set limits on how much money you can withdraw if you haven't, by November the 17th. So you can do one or two things. You can abide by those limits of withdrawal per quarter, I believe it is. A certain amount per quarter that you can withdraw. Or you can make a decision to go and take your money out. But it's just a lot of crazy. Then we've heard about the bail-ins, where when the system crashes, they will come and the federal government won't bail anybody out. They'll go take the depositors' money because they say all that money there is their money. So I'm going to bring in Mr. Neely Fuller. Mr. Fuller, tell us about your works. We're going to talk economics. Hardcore, down to the ground economics. 150 million people, as we well know by now, Sister Earth, 150 million people are either low income or extreme poverty in this country. This is federal government information, not mine. And according to the Department of Agriculture, well over 100 million people are currently receiving a combination of food stamps and food aid. Sister Jallow, what's your thoughts on this? Quickly, then I'll go to Mr. Fuller.
I think this is freaking horrible. And then on the drive, I'm listening to the radio and I'm listening to other, personalities and hosts and show hosts, and they're laughing about it. They're literally making jokes about the fact that some people are not going to be able to eat, to have Thanksgiving. And it's not funny. We should all be banding together to figure out how to help one another because this thing is getting serious.
It's very serious. Remember when you couldn't use your food stamp thing?
Yep.
What was that last week?
About last week?
Yeah, and people, and they had better turn that back on because people was about to go berserk.
Because you got to eat.
You got to eat.
You got to feed the children.
You've got to feed the children. Now you're at a point of where your food stamps are being threatened. And this economic thing is getting very, very scary. And all of the countries around the world are worried about a coming collapse. I don't know. Gas prices are going like a yo-yo, up and down, up and down. Who can afford $3.86 a gallon?
That's $4.
That's $4, and it's just robbing Peter to pay Paul. Mm-hmm. Let me bring in Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, the question of economics is addressed. I believe it's that. What is it? What area is it in your book, in your works?
In the first area of activity.
It's the first area of activity. How you see what's going on the ground? Pensions are being threatened, federal pensions, non-federal pensions. Many so-called private sector people have already lost their pensions, and they're scrambling, trying to make do with something. They were employed back in the day. When I came out, Mr. Fuller, it was very easy to walk into a manufacturing plant and pick up a job paying almost $30 an hour. Now they've split that up 3 and 4 ways, where they're paying $8 to $10 an hour. The economy is just horrible. Mr. Fuller, what does the code say about economics?
Well, I've been saying, I define, first of all, economics primarily is the use of time and energy. So it basic economics is how you use your time and energy and what resources that you can use your time and energy on to get material things. And then it comes down to how you use the material things and how you select them. I've been saying all year round, long before anybody started talking about recession, or even before then, recession and depression and all these different words that are thrown around, I simply say that you don't spend, first of all, for anything that's designed to show off. That should be just a universal thing among black people everywhere. I mean, that you never see a black person buying anything for show-off purposes.
That's number one.
Yeah, that's number one. Never buy anything to show off to anybody. Neighbors, friends, family members, whatnot. Anything that's designed just strictly to show off. That is out. That's showing off to whom? In order to accomplish what? What are you going to get for the showing off? So unless you're in show business, I mean, you can do that type of thing, like someone on the stage and whatnot, because that brings in revenue. But just driving down the street in a car, who's going to pay you for you have the car?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, people are not going to run up to your window and tap on the windshield and say, "Hey, that's a beautiful car," and try to throw some money in there.
Throw some money in the car.
I've never seen anybody do that.
That's it.
So what are you getting out of it? That's what I'm saying. You know, if you're showing off to your friends and whatnot, I mean, you have this brand new Lamborghini, and so if I walked out this morning and someone that I knew that I went to school with or something like that, and they said, "Hey, I got to go by Fuller's and show him my new Lamborghini," he won't believe this and whatnot. I probably won't. But when I see it, I'll stand there and look at it. Now, look at how this usually works. I'll say, "That's a beautiful car." And he'll say, "Yeah, this is a car that costs $750,000. And I'll say, "What?" You know, if that's what it costs, $700,000 is what I got this for. And that was a bargain. Okay? And I'll say, "Oh, okay." And I'll stand there and look at it. And he may drive me around the block in it, and then we come and park it, and then I get out, and I say, "Wow, $700,000. I mean, that's really, you've got a gem of a car there. That's really, wow, that's nice." And he'll say, "Yep." And then what? What do we do now?
What do we do now?
See what I mean? Now, that takes maybe about 10 minutes. And $700,000 investment he has there to impress me for what? I mean, so he got my appreciation. It took about 10 minutes, because that's after about 10 minutes, it's wearing off already. See, so I'm not even thinking about it after that.
Well, Mr. Fuller, we've got the Christmas holiday coming, and I know you've been talking about this for quite a while. In fact, it's snowing here right now, as Earth will tell you. Earth, what do you plan to do around Christmas? Now, Mr. Fuller has talked about this. We got the food stamp problem. We got people losing their jobs. We got people losing their incomes. We just had the government shutdown, but yet we got Christmas coming. Let me get your thoughts on how we should deal with this, Earth, and then I'll come. Then I want to, because Mr. Fuller has really laid this out, and I want to get your thoughts on. Then I want Mr. Fuller to lay it out. Go
Wonderful.
ahead.
I don't celebrate holidays, so I'm not all up in arms about, what am I going to do for Christmas, this, that, and the other. Every day should be celebrated. So I don't really know what the people should do. I've been saying for years to stop celebrating these holidays and let's pool our money together and start building some schools and some hospitals and some grocery stores, because we in food deserts around here. So we have to start looking at this thing a little bit more seriously and stop playing these little silly games. We don't have time for Christmas. It's not a celebration for us. And I think once we get people to start understanding what we're trying to say, that, we can wake up the people who are still in a coma. They're not sleeping anymore, sleepwalking. We have literally been reduced to comatose state.
But they do these so-called Black Fridays. which is very
exactly.
interesting in itself.
Right.
And then they show a bunch of black folk
in line
at Walmart
in line
going crazy.
Wrapped around a corner.
I mean, have you seen them?
I've seen it.
Crazy.
It don't make no sense.
It don't. I mean, they act like they're totally insane.
But won't stand in line for that for your children's education. Won't stand in line for that at the library to grab some books that's going to help you and your children in the long run. Won't stand in line for what's necessary, but will stand in line for the Jordans at Christmas and at the Walmarts and at the Targets for Black Friday. They already told you it's for you. They called it Black Friday.
I mean, it looks like it's insane. They look like,
insane.
Mr. Fuller, I have to say this word, but they make black people on this so-called Black Friday look like savages. I mean, they just look like savages. It's like, golly. They even killed him, man. Remember they ran over one of the employees at one of the Walmarts? Trampled him to death.
Trampled him.
Didn't give a damn. Kept trampling. So Mr. Fuller, Christmas is coming. The big push is kicked in already. Everywhere you go, they got the jingle bells up. Everything is rocking and rolling. How do you resist this powerful temptation, Mr. Fuller?
You just slip and slow down and look at it, back off and at a distance and look at it for what it is. It's child's play, but it's expensive. And we should be mature. We should be maturing and coming out of our childhood. I mean, this is serious, and you're talking about money here and all like that, and you're talking about having food money and whatnot. And like I said, the first order of business is don't do anything to show off. In the 1960s, when I stopped buying Christmas trees, now I was raised up where we had the old-fashioned tree that we went out and cut. We didn't buy one. We went out and cut a tree. Now, I stopped even doing that. That's been long gone.
Why?
But
wait a minute, Mr.
but
Fuller,
I'm saying,
Mr. Fuller, wait a minute, hold on, Mr. Fuller. Why? Why did you stop doing it?
I stopped doing it because I said, well, what am I doing? I'm going through this ritual, and there's one thing I noticed. The first thing I noticed was that by noon on Christmas Day, it's the dullest day of the year. Everything, all of that hoopla and running around, I mean, wrapping packages and whatnot, and all that frenzy and whatnot, and the jingle bells. Now, I always did like the Christmas carols and whatnot, but that's free. So you can listen to that. I mean, just walking through the average small town, because they'll have the chimes and whatnot coming out, and so you can get that. Now, I do concede that, because sometimes I turn on the radio, and I listen to some of the Christmas, Nat King Cole, singing Christmas song. It's
Charles
nostalgia.
Brown, Please Come Home for Christmas, all that.
Yes, yes, right. See, so but that's, you don't have to pay for that. So that's about as much as I give it. But now, a Christmas tree or something like that, someone asked me something about, Fuller, where's your tree? This was many decades ago. And I said, oh, I got trees everywhere. Don't you see my tree?
I know that's right.
Now, he took it as a joke, but I took him to the window. I said, look. I said, there's one down there. There's another one over there. There's one that the lights just came on.
Awesome.
That's a good
Because what do you do with a Christmas tree? You look at it.
Yep. Yep.
So all you have to do is just pull back your curtain. And anybody who's got trees up and down the block, I mean, yeah, those are your trees. Why? You're looking at them.
But
that's what you do with a Christmas tree. You look at it.
But Mr. Fuller, this advertising is going to be heavy. I mean, they're going to be getting inside your brain. Let's think about this. They can get inside the people's brain so deep until they can have them. What? Irv, is it 3:00 in the morning?
Yeah.
Or 2:00 in the cold?
In the cold, going to look for
have
some
their
food.
little children with them in the cold, standing outside waiting on the store to open
at 3 a.m.
At 3. That's insanity.
That's crazy.
Another thing that I want to mention about the Christmas thing is how well you feel. Now, you might feel a little downer. I mean, if you go cold turkey on this Christmas thing, I'm going to tell you how this works. If people who are used to having it and whatnot will really miss it when all the frenzy is going on and people are building up. But I'll tell you, the day after Christmas, and you notice that you haven't done anything with your credit cards, you locked them up, and you didn't do anything with them. They didn't move. And you didn't go zipping them through the the register there and with a whole bunch of packages in your arm, you would be surprised at how great you feel the day after Christmas, and you hadn't done that.
Yep, and you haven't gone.
You didn't build up all those bills. You don't owe anybody anything.
Yep.
And now Christmas was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try it for the first time, I think that everybody out here within the sound of my voice will like it. All you have to do is do it once.
Mm-hmm.
And once that day after Christmas, when you haven't spent all that money and haven't gone into all that debt, you will feel great that you haven't done that. Because one thing, when you just walk around, you'll say, it was like it didn't even happen. You don't notice anything. I mean, in fact, the Christmas decorations seem out of place now.
That's right.
Starting with the day after Christmas.
You know what else I noticed?
They seem out of place, really, all of it.
Mm-hmm. And
right.
I also noticed that I didn't have to be stressed out trying to take somebody's gift back that they didn't like or didn't appreciate or didn't want, some things that I didn't want or need,
Yes.
You don't have to do all that. It's so much more relaxing.
Yeah, somebody opens their packages across town and they say, "What's this mess?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this old cheesy stuff she sent me."
Yep.
Now you have made someone, some animosity based on what? False values.
Yep.
False values. Okay? Because it's never supposed to be about that anyway. I don't think Jesus was walking around, talking about Christmas is coming.
Right.
Mr. Fuller, we have a caller from Holland. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Kahari, and good afternoon, Mr. Fuller.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead.
My question is, what does Mr. Neely Fuller thinks of the work of Mr. Krishnamurti?
Mr. Who?
Krishnamurti.
Krishna Murphy?
Krishnamurti, yes.
Who is that? I'm not familiar with Mr. Fuller. Are you familiar with Krishna Murphy?
No, I'm not.
Okay, tell me about what he is saying. More importantly, caller, tell me what he says. What is it that he's saying?
Mr. Fuller, I think his advice is to not spend money that you don't have.
Oh, okay. Mr. Fuller, he says, thank you, caller. Appreciate your call. Mr. Fuller, he's saying that the advice is not to spend money that you don't have. Mr.
Correct.
Fuller.
Correct. For anything. You don't spend money that you don't have. You cut down on that. You try to save everything you can because you're going to need it. That's one thing someone was telling me years ago. They said, well, yeah, you start saving and then money, it just starts piling up. And what's that good for and all like that? And I said, based on my experiences, money doesn't pile up. Don't get the idea that money piles up. You better believe that something is going to come up where you need to move that money.
Absolutely.
To buy things that you didn't think that you were going to have to pay for. All kinds of things come up. So don't worry ever about money piling up. That it becomes a burden to you because it's piling up. That's not going to happen for the average person.
Caller, I thank you so much, and thank you for listening all the way in Holland. We appreciate you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so Mr. Fuller, that tells you right there you're international. Hey, Earth,
yes.
Did you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I didn't know the guy that the caller was saying, but and he's right. Don't spend money that you don't have. But more importantly for me is I just don't even celebrate because how is those holidays helping, to liberate black people? I don't see what we get out of it. I see us getting into debt.
But you know who they focus on during that time? It's you.
It's us.
It's the females.
But we have to.
How do you tell females not to? How do you tell them not to spend money?
You have to self-control. self-control, and understanding that these holidays are not for you. They never were. If we have to do something, find something that black folks can celebrate on a separate day. Even Thanksgiving. I don't even do that. Because I'm not celebrating a
Maybe
massacre.
celebrate Justice Day. Create Justice Day
create
or
something.
Justice Week, Justice Year, and do justice all day long.
All
like
day,
that.
every day.
Mr. Fuller, how do you compensate, or should you set up an alternative system or something other than buying into the Christmas thing?
Well, you just don't buy into it. See, that's the key. I mean, take the money out of it and just make phone calls. That's what I started doing back in the 1960s. The people that I hadn't talked to in a long time and all like that, I would just call them and talk about something constructive. I haven't talked to you in a long time, so I thought I'd give you a call. These are the so-called holidays and whatnot, and all days are holidays. See, that's under compensatory logic. They say that, well, these are holy days. Holiday means holy day. All days are whole days. So, so you use every day to do something constructive.
That's it.
And it's just a matter of changing your philosophy. You don't set aside days. Every day that you are breathing, I mean, you better believe that's a holy day. Because if you're not breathing, you can forget it.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. And Christmas is right up on us, so there's a lot to be said about that. Thanksgiving and Earth and Neely, stay right there. Don't go nowhere. More to come on the compensatory concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. Food for thought.
Did you know that we spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping? If a person lives to be 90 years old, he or she will have spent about 32 of those years sleeping. But don't think that if we just spent more time awake, we could accomplish more in life. Our bodies don't work that way. Not getting enough sleep can contribute to stress, disease, obesity, poor memory, poor judgment, and a decrease in our abilities as we age. Lack of sleep causes accidents on the road and in the workplace. We need about 8 hours of sleep each night, and young people need even more. To that end, we should not consume caffeinated drinks past early afternoon. We should start to wind down as we near bedtime and make our bedrooms conducive to good sleep, no light exposure, and a cool temperature. I guess I and many others should no longer fall asleep by the light of the television.
That's another Food for Thought. To hear additional Food for Thought, stay tuned to TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard.
Every baby can have the freedom to move their way in Pampers Cruisers. They adapt at the waist, legs, and bottom with up to 12 hours of protection for our driest, best-fitting diaper. Pampers.
T-Mobile presents The Simple Choice.
With T-Mobile, I can walk out with the new Samsung Galaxy S4 for way less than at AT&T. We have a big family. T-Mobile.
Awesome. Well, now we'll all have the coolest phones in school. It almost makes up for the social stigma of living in a shoe. You live in a shoe.
Choose to spend less upfront at activation for your new Samsung Galaxy S4 at T-Mobile.
Welcome to today's lottery drawing. And today's winning numbers are not yours, not yours, and another number that's not yours. And the final number is not yours.
When it comes to having money, don't rely on luck. Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering it. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. If you want to pick up Mr. Fuller's works, you can go to www.producejustice.com. www.producejustice.com. That's www.producejustice.com. And you can get those works. Earth, you had a question for Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
I can't remember. I was talking.
Well, now you can. Go ahead.
Man. Oh, man, Mr. Fuller.
It's about Christmas. You were going to ask him something about what is it that, that women can do. We were talking about females because they seem to be
the ones
the greatest victims of this.
Yeah, we fall victim so easily because, we do like to spend money. We do like a sale, a good sale or whatever. And, then we have the children, and the children, we've conditioned them to celebrate Christmas to, luckily, Mr. Fuller, I early on, I have 2 daughters, and early on I nipped it so they didn't really miss it, But what about all of the young, mothers who say, take their children to see Santa Claus? The children are screaming, sitting on Santa Claus's lap. That even the children don't like it and they know it's wrong. How can I reach out to, women and say, let's try to do something different?
Well, I always tell people, you tell everybody the same thing. I have an offspring. I start telling him at an early age. I mean, for a little while I did it because I was still doing it myself.
Right.
But then that's when I stopped doing it, then I start showing him the logic of not doing it. And he fell right into it. Yep. I mean, at an early age. I mean, it's just like, particularly when you start with anybody early, they kind of carry on whatever they start doing early.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started seeing the logic of it at an early age because I started explaining it to him. And he just lost interest. Simply based on just making a suggestion. People have a tendency just to see what they see other people doing. But if someone steps up and says, well, there's no reason to do something just because you see somebody else doing it.
Right.
And once you put that on a person's mind, that might carry over into a lot of things. Once just that idea alone. And because that's a part of what I write about. I say never do anything because somebody else is doing it. I don't care what it is. Always examine it and see what the real value is. And if you don't see the real value separate from what all the hoopla, then back off. See, back off and take a long look at what you see people doing. And then think about, now, is this something that's necessary? Is this something that makes sense? Is this something that's productive? Is this something that I have to make sacrifices to do?
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself a lot of questions before you make any move on anything, and just get in the habit of that. And that will just spill over into everything. And, and sometimes just by starting to do something yourself, other people will say, oh, I never thought of that. You don't celebrate, you don't sit down and you don't go out and pig out on Thanksgiving and whatnot. You just eat your normal food that you always eat, and and just get rest if you need it and whatnot. That you don't go through the usual ritual, and you say no. They say, well, why don't you? Well, I don't see any reason to. And they might say, you know what? Since this is costing me, and the day after this so-called holiday, I'm feeling a lot of pain, I don't think I want to feel this pain anymore. See, now, everybody can just measure, what they gain against what they lose. That's what everything is about. That's the law of compensation. Are you really gaining, or are you losing?
Right.
This is the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gaining something? And if you're gaining something, what is it you're gaining? Okay?
Right. We have a caller from Washington, D.C. on the line with Mr. Fuller. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, can I be heard?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Okay. Good day to the host, and hello, Mr. Fuller.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, caller.
Okay, my question, I own Mr. Fuller's book, and in the book I noticed most of the derogatory slangs that's used for different classifications of people. The book says not to use those as jap, chink, wetback,
right,
etc. But when it gets to the word nigger, the word book does not state do not use this word. So I've been waiting to ask Mr. Fuller, why did he not say not to use the word nigger?
Yes, you don't call anybody that. I still say that. But the word still is around. So I say it's a choice that you make. So I say I don't call anybody that because that's even under name calling. You don't call any person by a name, whether they're white or non-white, that the person doesn't want to be called. That should just be something that you just do naturally. You don't call any person by the name or title except what the person wants to be called. This includes people who change their name, say, every week. Say if you run across a person who has a different name every week, you just find out what the new name is for each week, for 52 weeks, and you call them by the name that the person wants to be called. Now, I always say that since there are some people who call people by that term, the so-called N-word and whatnot, so you simply ask that person 3 times if they call you that name, because you don't call anybody that name. I want to make that clear. I don't call anybody by that name, ever, because I don't call anybody by any name that the person doesn't want to be called. I call them by whatever title they want to be called, whatever name they want to be called, and try to pronounce it correctly. But if a person calls me the N-word, particularly a white person, what I suggest and what I do myself, what I would do, because it hasn't happened recently, I ask, what, first of all, is that? See, I'm looking for clarity. See, it's not the name itself that's where the power is. I mean, the power is in the clarity of what's going on here. You know, why is this being communicated to me? So you want clarity. That's what I want. When a person calls me by the N-word, first of all, what are you calling me? Are you calling me this? What is that? What is it? I want to know what is it you're calling me. Say, well, I'm calling you that. That might be the answer. And then I want to know the next thing, why are you calling me this? You know, because that's what you are. And I'll say, okay, so now we've gotten this far. You're calling me that. You've told me what it is. You told me that's what I am, you know. And from your viewpoint, then you say that you're going to call me that. Okay, so the next thing I want to know is the most important thing. Well, what do you do with someone who is the N-word? What do you do for someone who is the N-word? What do you do against someone who is the N-word? And what do you do about them? I have about 4 questions there.
Mm-hmm.
Just about what do you do? You know, now that you have called me that, what do we do now? Dance or what? You know, you've called me by a title. You gave me a title that I did not ask you to give me. So all I'm looking for is not the title itself. I already heard that. That's out of the way. I want to know, what do you do now? Because everything comes down to what the person does, not what the person is saying. Whatever name they want to give me is okay with me, because that's in the book too. When it comes to name calling, that comes under name calling. People can call me by any name that they want to. It doesn't bother me at all. I will correct them if it's a title that sounds like it's, you know, sometimes people call me Dr. Fuller. I'm not a doctor. I've never cured anybody of anything. So I will correct people there and say, I'm not a doctor. So you might give the impression to someone that I'm a doctor. I'm not a doctor, never have been, okay? And because sometimes black people give black people titles.
Well, what they mean by that, Mr. Fuller, when they say doctor, because what they mean is that in your field that you have studied and that you have presented to all of us, your knowledge is so expansive, it would be the kind of knowledge that people are given in a field, and they're called a doctorate in that field. Doesn't mean the doctors don't know everything, but they've achieved a sufficient enough level of understanding till it puts them at that level. So that's all they're saying to you, is that they are saying you have the level of someone who has achieved that kind of thing. And I go along with it. And so I don't tell people not to call you. And it doesn't mean a medical doctor all the time, because you got Juris Doctorate, you got PhDs you'll call doctor. That's what they mean, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, I understand that. And people have explained that to me. And I have gone along with it. In other words, if people insist, like I said, part of the codification in addressing the gentleman, you know, you can keep calling me anything that you want to. That's a part of the code. I found that out a long time ago, that if you just let people call you anything that they want to call you, I mean, it always works out. It always works out. All you got to do is just make that decision. Call me anything that you want to call me. I'll tell you what my name is, but you can call me anything. You can call me the N-word. You can call me that every day. I tell black people, I could go on anybody's job where that's how they would talk to me every day. That's how they would refer to me. But, see, I don't have a contract with them about what they call me. I have a contract with myself. See, that's a real important criteria. So you'll never hear me objecting to what somebody calls me, ever. I mean, they can call me the N-word, they can call me MF, they can call me anything. And I will not so much as move my eyeballs. I mean, it will have no effect on me at all, particularly if it's supposed to be derogatory. Why? Because I decide how I'm going to react to what somebody says. See, that's why I wrote a word guide. We're supposed to be getting in the habit of dominating words. We don't let any words dominate us. That should be a part of, the black understanding. No words will dominate us. I don't care what kind of words they are. We dominate words. We should be in that business. There isn't a word that anybody can invent that will cause us to do anything except what we choose to do.
That's powerful.
Yes.
That's very powerful. Now, that's what you call truly self-determination.
Oh, you better believe it. Instant. It's instant. I mean, we're always talking about getting power and whatnot. That's the first thing you want to seize. It's the power of words. You don't let anybody say anything to you that's going to cause you to do something that you wouldn't ordinarily do. Going to ruin your day with some words? Are you kidding? I mean, just work out any name that you want to call me. In fact, you can come up with 10,000 names. I mean, just have fun. You can write them all over the walls. In fact, you can write them all over town. Neely Fuller Jr. is a MF, N-word. Everywhere you go, that's what you see. That would not bother me in the least.
Now that's
I would just say that, the aesthetics of it, I mean, you have ruined a whole lot of walls around here and whatnot,
But, Mr. Fuller, that would stop almost 80% of the killings in our community.
Because if somebody
Just
said
that-
so-and-so
just
about
that
me,
alone
the
would
fights
stop
in the schoolhouse would stop. So-and-so said so-and-so about me. It wouldn't even matter. People wouldn't even be getting mad no more.
I mean,
yes, that's what I'm saying. You neutralize the word simply by saying, have fun. In fact, come up with a big glossy Christmas book with every kind of name that you can think of that's ever been invented that's derogatory to call me, and send it through the mail. And I'll just use it as a memento or as a, so what?
Taking the power
I'm not
away.
coming looking for you with a gun and whatnot. Oh, woe is me. You have ruined my life.
Right.
We need to get out of that. That's infantile. Have fun. Call me anything that you want to. And have a nice day. Because that's what I'm going to say after you get through calling.
Caller, you want to respond? Caller?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, now, come on now. I need you to respond. You want to respond to what Mr. Fuller said?
Yes, he answered my question.
Okay.
I just want him to know that I've been a student of his for quite some years, and I was called a nigger by a white person, and I used the exact questions that he mentioned.
Was it effective?
It was very effective. The person could not even speak. And later on, I was able to request that same person to verify something for me when I went to management. He was a coworker, and he's never called me that word again. And a matter of fact, I was able to get him to do almost anything that I asked him to do.
Great. Awesome.
Wow. Thank you, caller. I appreciate that. Stay right there. More to come on the compensatory concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
We go where you go. Download the new Talktainment Radio app to your Android, iPhone, or tablet. Now you can take us wherever you go, and it's free. Download today. The world's greatest radio, the way it should be heard.
Richard Holt, research chemist, University of Rio Grande in southeastern Ohio, which again, you can see your condition. Richard's Remedy is a multi-purpose cream that works on a variety of skin conditions. I sell it in a 1 ounce container through the internet for $12.95 at richardsremedy.com.
All major credit cards accepted. Call 937-607-4259 or go to email info@talktainmentradio.com for a free sample of Richard's Remedy. Talktainmentradio.com. Food for thought.
Did you know that we spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping? If a person lives to be 90 years old, he or she will have spent about 32 of those years sleeping. But don't think that if we just spent more time awake, we could accomplish more in life. Our bodies don't work that way. Not getting enough sleep can contribute to stress, disease, obesity, poor memory, poor judgment, and a decrease in our abilities as we age. Lack of sleep causes accidents on the road and in the workplace. We need about 8 hours of sleep each night, and young people need even more. To that end, we should not consume caffeinated drinks past early afternoon. We should start to wind down as we near bedtime and make our bedrooms conducive to good sleep. No light exposure and a cool temperature. I guess I and many others should no longer fall asleep by the light of the television.
That's another Food for Thought. To hear additional Food for Thought, stay tuned to TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard.
Every baby can have the freedom to move their way in Pampers Cruisers. They adapt at the waist, legs, and bottom with up to 12 hours of protection for our driest, best-fitting diaper. Pampers.
Hey, wake up. You can't dream your way into college. There are actual steps you need to take, steps that go beyond just getting good grades. So if you're serious about college, visit knowhowtogo.org today. Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. Sitting in with us is Earth Jallow, and we have a caller from Holland, a caller from Washington, D.C. We're waiting on you. 1-877-932-9766. Mr. Fuller, I think we're still blown away by that gym, and I'm going to give Earth a chance. Earth, you work with school children, and you work with adults in counseling and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that we always run into is that over 80 to 85% of the fights and the shootings and the arguments and bad feelings over name calling.
Mm-hmm.
And just if you take that power away, the power to inflict that, follow what Mr. Fuller says, my God, that's a heck of a recipe.
Man, that was powerful.
For self-determination.
I'm still smiling.
As well as the minimization of conflict, because that's what we fight over.
What somebody said.
Yeah.
So-and-so said such and such, and before you know it, Mr. Fuller, all throughout the elementary, junior high, and high school, you got to fight about what somebody else said. Somebody said they said about you. Who cares? That would eliminate 85, like you said, Kahari, % of our disagreement and argument is disdain with one another, especially as adult women. You know, so-and-so said so-and-so. Girl, let me tell you what so-and-so said. You know, that is...
she called you a bitch.
Right. She called you a such and such. Yeah. You know, if we would handle things just the way you said, man, that was so powerful.
Well, see, there's a track record on that for me, because I tell people, don't follow nothing that Neely Fuller says or writes or anything. Test it yourself. Test it yourself. When I came up with that idea, it was in 1951. I was in the Army, okay? Mm-hmm. And so I started doing it then. And I started seeing how well it worked. See, you don't do anything that doesn't work. That's the law of the universe. You always do what works. I mean, cause and effect. Everything in the universe is cause and effect. So I just decided that I made that decision. I'm not going to react to name calling, period. And so the N word was being used and whatnot. And because, just like the gentleman said, he gave the report because that was my experience, that same report that he got. People started actually catering to me, white people. Once I didn't react to the word, they could say the word in my presence, they could call me that, and I was like stone. I just went right ahead just like they hadn't said nothing. And I really felt that way. That's another thing. So you got to be a part of, you brood about it and go to bed at night thinking about it and all like that. No, I discovered that it didn't bother me for some strange reason. I said, finally I got called one. And it didn't, I'm not reacting the way that I was told that I'm supposed to react even. Because I don't even feel that way. Mm-hmm. I feel like they haven't even said nothing. I mean, so what? You said it, now it's done, now what? See? And so since I didn't react, they didn't know what to think of me. The words started going around. Because just like you're saying about people fighting about name calling and all like that, and they say there's something weird about him. Anything that you say to him doesn't bother him. It's something, he's strange. It's like from another planet. Mm-hmm. All right? And so the next thing I know, it was the white guys, from Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, and whatnot, who would always want to come around me and talk to me. And I'm trying to get away from them. Not because I was afraid of them or anything like that. They were boring me. But they want to talk to me, telling me their personal business and all this.
Right.
Once they found out that I did not react to name calling or to anything that they were doing. And so I found out the power of that. And just like you're saying, all the students that you're talking about, if they start tapping into it, they'll find out how magic that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of power.
I'm going to use it.
That's an incredible amount of power. Neely, we're going to have you on Saturday, because I think this needs to get out there. Earth was with me on Saturday, too. I think this needs to get out there, Neely. That floored me. Carl, I appreciate you bringing that up. That just knocked me down. It's like a left hook, Joe Frazier kind of left hook.
and you see how well it worked for the caller.
Wow.
Or anybody
simple.
who does
it's so
it.
simple.
Yeah.
All you got to do is do it.
It's so simple.
I'm going to try it.
Yes.
I'm going to try it.
Neely, I think most of the solutions or effective responses to our problems most of them are simple, aren't they?
Yes. When I went on jobs, I was always expecting it. And I was disappointed. I got to the place where I got disappointed when it wasn't happening because I always wanted to test myself. See what I mean? Really. I said, they're always saying something real nice and whatnot. I'm waiting on the hostility.
You're waiting on the thing to drop.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the nasty language and whatnot, and I wasn't never getting it. I'm saying, come on,
let me work it out.
Yeah, right. I want to test myself and see, if I can be like stone, let them throw. Let them throw the biggest stones they got. And it's just bouncing off of me. See,
yet, Mr. Fuller, right. Words are powerful, are they not?
Yes, because I wanted to test myself to see if I could master a word situation in every condition that you put me under. Yeah.
You said
and
something
I think
very
every black person should do that.
You said something
I'm going to pass the word test.
Right.
You know, every black person should say that. I mean, at an early age. Well, today I think that I'm going to start passing every word test. Whatever words they throw, hey, I'm going to master all of these words. I don't care what they throw at me. They can come up with some new stuff that nobody never heard of. You know, right?
And that's what propaganda is designed to do, is to unearth.
Oh, sure.
You.
Once you get people to react to their words, I mean, they can jerk you around forever.
Go ahead, caller. You had something you wanted to say. Go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say that that particular fella, what he actually said, because we were in the truck together, and I said, let me turn the air conditioner on. I'm getting a little warm in here. And he said, you niggers always get hot. And I turned around, looked at him, I said, what'd you say? And he said it again. You niggers always get hot. I said, at first, a rage was coming up inside of me. And it's a good thing I read Mr. Fuller's book, because that gave me something to say, because I wanted to go upside his head. And I said,
I'm sure of it.
And you know what? If I had done that, I would have lost my job.
Yeah, you lost your job, yeah.
The guy was bipolar, and he was on medication.
Oh.
And they would have excused him.
That's right.
And I would have been on the street.
On the street and prosecuted.
And prosecuted.
That's right.
And if you got a woman who was expecting that check, you're going to have to deal with her when you get home.
Caller, stay right there. We've got another caller from Austria. Is it Australia or Austria?
It's Austria, sir.
Austria. Okay. Welcome to Compensatory Concept. Go ahead with your thoughts or your questions that you want to ask Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
Now, I just wanted to say, appreciate Mr. Fuller's work, and I used to communicate with him so much, but it's been a while now, and I support him fully when he says that we shouldn't let words move us and everything, and that's very important because a lot of the refined race-wise supremacists don't need to call black people at the N-word, but they're going to end up mistreating you and remaining in a dominant position. That's what I wanted to say.
Now that's heavy. Mr. Fuller, caller, stay right there. Mr. Fuller, you said something that I really want you to go back and expound on. You said, never let words dominate you. You dominate words. I believe that's what you said.
Yes, sir.
Expound
they're just words. They're just tools. Words are nothing but tools, and tools are designed to do a job. So you always think about the job, not the words. So, think about what the words are supposed to produce. Lawyers in the word business. I mean, they're trying to get a result. See, words are tools, just tools, like reaching into a toolbox. And you reach in the toolbox of words, and you pick out a word to do a certain job. Just like you would in carpentry or bricklaying or anything. I mean, what job is it you want done? So you use words to do the job of communicating. You're communicating an idea in order to achieve a goal. So always keep your goal in mind. So that's why I say I go into the question mode when somebody calls me something, even if they call me something that I don't even know what they're calling me. I just simply say, well, what is that? What's this tool you handed me? In order to accomplish what job? What job are you trying to accomplish? That's why I said that bottom line question is, now that you have called me this list of names, what do we do now, sir? See, because I'm going to always be polite to the person that's talking. That's another thing. You don't ever destabilize what you do. That's what codification means. You codify your behavior. I'm going to be courteous to everybody, including people who call me names. They can just stand there and call me every type of name they want to, and swing on the chandelier and kick the dog and everything. I'm just going to sit there. And when they finally finish, I'll say, okay, well, now that you have announced how you see life and how you see me, what do you want me to do? Or what are you going to do? Because I'm just waiting on the doing part.
Mm-hmm.
All the theatrics mean nothing. The drama is what. Whoever thought up that term, talking about drama, I don't know exactly what the definition of it is when black people use it. But several years ago, I started hearing black people talking about, I don't want all this drama. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I think they mean all of the noise.
The theatrics.
That's what I think it means.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you look at it as. It's just noise. That's all. I mean, so after the noise dies down, then you ask the intelligent questions. Okay, now that you have said all of this, Mr. So-and-so, because that's what I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him by the name he wants to be called. He says his name is Mr. Graham. I'm going to call him Mr. Graham, even though he just called me a bunch of N-words. Okay? All right, Mr. Graham, now that you have finished saying what you had to say, what do you propose doing about everything that you just said? Because I want to know what you're going to do, how all this is going in. You know, what are we trying to produce here? You know, what is the product? You know, what is this all about? All of this foaming at the mouth and name calling and whatnot. I'm just going to be calm until you finish, you know, and come down off the ceiling. And go over there and, you know, you kick the wastebasket all over the floor, you know, and straighten that out. Now, I'll wait. Then I'll say, okay, now, can we continue talking about the business that I came here to do? Because that's what I came here to do something, you know. Or you came here to tell me something about what you didn't like. Now, I'm talking about, hey, it ain't personal, it's business. See what I mean? All this name calling and whatnot has nothing to do with me.
And you know, Mr. Fuller,
once you get in the habit of doing that, you better believe that your whole view of the world, I mean,
changes.
Will be a lot better.
That happened in what was the scene out of The Godfather where the senator came
Tom
into
Hagen.
the room? Yeah, where was the senator?
Tom Hagen talking to Mr. Walsh in Godfather 1.
Okay.
He says, Mr. Walsh, I'm representing, I'm a lawyer representing. He said, I don't care how many Guinea Dagos come out of the woodwork. Who in the hell are you, you know? Right. And he said, I'm a private lawyer. I have a private client. And now here's my card. And he said, by the way, I like your pictures.
I like your pictures.
You know, right.
And the same thing happened in Godfather Part 2 when the senator came in there and said, I don't like you, never liked your mama, never liked you. No.
Yeah, right. Your oily hair and your silk suits, and you come out here in our pristine country, said, I don't like the way you do business and all like that. And he said, Senator, we're part of the same hypocrisy. And since you are making me these offers and whatnot, I'll make you an offer. Nothing. I will pay you nothing, including the $20,000 for the licensing fee, which I'd appreciate if you pay yourself. And he was quite polite when he said it.
I mean, but I think black people all over the world have to learn this, don't they, Mr. Fuller?
That should be a characteristic of black people by now. I mean, so that the white supremacists themselves will be saying, you know what? Black people are nowhere near what they used to be. You can say anything in a name-calling way to them, and they do not so much as raise an eyebrow. I mean, it's like you said nothing at all. They are. You can't penetrate these people now. They are a whole new people. I mean, it's amazing, you know. And they used to be people that just reacted to everything. You could look at them in a certain way. I mean, and they just go off. Yeah. They start foaming at the mouth and start swinging and throwing things and cursing and and stomping their feet. See, now they are razor sharp calm about everything. And they are the most thoughtful people that you have ever seen in your life. And how did they get this way? I'll tell you how we can get that way, just deciding to do it, because that's what I did. I just decided I'm not reacting to name calling, period. As of this day, I'm not doing it, ever.
That is so powerful.
Not that I ever did, but I noticed that I wasn't doing it, and I said, hey, I think that'll work better. And I just decided not to do it. It doesn't take a long time. It doesn't take practice. That's another thing. Sometimes black people think that it takes a long time to do certain things. No. There are a lot of things you can do instantly. All you got to do is just make up your mind. It takes about 2 minutes to say, hey, I'm not reacting to name calling ever again in life. Ever. Starting with right now.
And I have made that choice. And Earth, you've made that choice. And callers, I know you've made that choice. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Mr. Fuller. That was heavy. We appreciate you as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com.